Hey guys, Edgar here. Guns for everyone. What is up? What is up? What is up? I got to be honest with you. Kind of excited to do this one. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was maybe even a little nervous. Well, first of all, it's been a while since we've even done a video. I'm not going to call this a podcast because it's not a podcast. I don't have Isaac with me. God knows when he's going to return to this. Hopefully soon. But before I kind of dig into this whole idea, because the title of the video we've been promoting it is "Firearms Training is Stupid," and that's what I want to talk about today is firearms training being stupid. Um, I first want to explain a little bit for those that may not know that are going to be watching this later on. Who I am. My name is again Edgar Antillon. Run Guns for Everyone. One of the co-founders of Guns for Everyone. Guns for Everyone's been around since 2010. We started providing free concealed carry classes. We've instructed close to 100,000 people now here in the state of Colorado. And this year, Guns for Everyone is kind of expanding and doing different things. And hopefully we can share that with you later on. Maybe Isaac and I will talk about this stuff. But early on in my career, kind of going back to the topic of firearms training being stupid. In my early career as a firearms instructor, I started experiencing a lot of outside training, I guess, if you will. Because at that point, early on in my career, really my experience was kind of as an amateur. I was lucky enough to meet an individual by the name of Harlan through the company that I work, private security. We had contracts with the state of Colorado and that type of stuff, bullshit stuff. But this individual, he was a SWAT instructor for Lakewood PD. So did some training with him. He ended up moving and certified by badass, right? He ended up going overseas and doing the contractor thing, training military, both our side and the Afghanis on the good end, anyways. Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. Whole different subject. But in all of this, I started seeing once I got into the instructor side of it. Once I moved out of that arena and started doing the instructing myself, because I had a little bit of training now and I felt confident and I felt like I could share stuff with people. I kind of started falling into that trap of what a lot of instructors fall into is this like, oh well, I did some training with a SWAT instructor, so I must say that this is it. And this guy, the military and special services and all that shit. So it becomes very easy to fall into that. And it becomes that because, or it becomes easy, or it becomes very tempting to do that because, well, a lot of what you see on the interwebs and all this shit is just this flashy shit, right? This really gear driven and training that just doesn't make sense. I started asking questions like, why do we do it this way? And a lot of the answers what we got is just like, oh, that's just the way we do it. That's just the way we've been doing it for a long time, which is not an answer. That's not an answer. If I ask why we're doing something, I want an exact reason as to why we're doing it, not just because that's just the way it is. Or often I get criticized a lot because I question the whole timer thing, and people are like, well, we need an objective standard. But in context, right? Like it needs to make sense as well. I get the whole objective standard, but it has to make sense. So I've attended classes with other instructors, and some of them I'll name, and some of them I won't. But as I was going through classes, That was kind of often the theme is if I ask a question, why do it this way? This shit doesn't make sense. Like, when am I gonna? It's kind of like math when you're a little kid, or calculus, anyways. When you're a little kid and you ask the fucking math teacher, when the fuck you're ever gonna use this? Most of us won't use calculus and shit like that. Basic math, obviously, almost every single day to pay the man and shit like that. But so it became very difficult for me to become enamored with farmers training and become passionate about it the way I should be passionate about it, because I simply did not believe in the shit that people were teaching. It made sense when I did my training with Harlan and did all that stuff. It made sense, but it didn't make sense on the civilian side. There was just no content. I never felt like I was going to actually use the shit that I was learning at Walmart or in a civilian defensive situation. So in all of that questioning, I still had no answers, right? So one of the conclusions that I came up with is, um, or at least that I see, one of the things that I've noticed is that the firearms training community has essentially become kind of like the public education sector. Public education, if you really look at it, at some point it was regarded as high here in the U.S. and it was good, and it was for the kids and shit like that. And then ultimately, what came in between all of that stuff was politics and money, and really what we ended up doing, and we see this every single day, is instead of holding students accountable and making them better, what we do is we just dumb shit down so more people can pass. The more people you pass, the better it looks, and the more money you get and shit like that. So, and that's what I started seeing instructors doing, is just lowering that bar more and more every single time. Um, and that shit is painful, right? Because when somebody like myself says, "Hey, this is bullshit," everybody's like, "Well, no, this is just the way it's done, and everybody does it, and this is." But you got to question that stuff. At least I believe that you got to question that stuff. So that training is stupid. We see people that are supposedly real life training with fucking helmets and the knocks and tack vest. And in my mind, if I show up to a class that's supposedly reality based, quote unquote reality based, we'll get into that a little bit later. Um, but I show up and everybody's got fucking rigs on and their fucking tack vest, and it's no longer reality based, because reality is I don't fucking dress like that every single day. We're playing fucking dress up. That's what the fuck we're doing. We're LARPing. Is what the fuck we're doing, and that's just not something that I think the gun community needs, and I think it's a change that needs to be made. A lot of people know that I feel this way. A lot of people have heard this in podcasts, but I kind of want to go in depth a little bit more, because I seen a video and I'm going to show you just a little clip. And that was kind of the aha moment that really inspired me doing this particular video here. I don't know how long we're going to go. But I am an individual that has many interests. I like physics. I like science is something that has always interested me. Um, and that's part of my mindset too, right? The scientific side in training. There's a lot of science involved in my scientific brain. If it doesn't make sense, like I got to question that, because then it becomes experimental and all that stuff. So there's some of that element to it as well. But anyways, one of the things that also interests me a lot is magic, and really more the tricking of the brain, and how magic just it tricks the brain, right? How we can take something a little fun thing and really trick the mind to believe something that is I guess unbelievable. And it's this clip right here that kind of inspired this video, and let's just play it.
You're going to do a trick for us tonight.
I will, yeah. And it kind of explains a lot about magic. You know, magic does not fool you because you're stupid. Magic fools you because it's stupid. You know, because the human brain wants to have beautiful, wonderful aha experiences.
And that was it. For a long time, I thought about students being fucking dumb for wanting a certain type of training. And the if I'm really going to be serious about my love for science and psychology and all that stuff and how we operate and um then I have to kind of listen to what he said, and that's just like it's not that you're dumb, it's not that you're stupid, it's the magic is stupid. And that's why the title of this video is Training is Stupid. Training has become so stupid in the sense that training has become that aha thing. We're making it so magical and look at this, like look at how awesome it is so that the human brain can accept it. But in all of that stuff, we're losing the real essence of firearms training, which is we're trying to prepare for something that we don't know, like we just don't know how the fuck it's going to happen, right? Like it's we're trying to prepare for something that we have no clue how it's going to work, how it's going to perform, or which way it's coming, at what time. Are you going to be fully awake? Are you going to be on the shitter? Like we're trying to control shit that we can't control, is that essentially what we're doing. So we're telling the brain, well, if you look fucking awesome doing it, if you have this fucking tech to do shit going on, then it makes sense. But the reality is that the training's stupid. You have to be smarter than that and understand that the human brain wants that. It yearns for that stuff. Um, it's gotten to the point where we're more enamored and obsessed with scenario based training versus evidence based training. And what I mean by this is there's a lot of instructors who will teach to a scenario. If you're in this position, if you're doing this, and this happens, this is how you ought to perform. And that's great. But again, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Evidence based training, on the other hand, we take what is most likely to happen, based off of the evidence that we have, and we train the body as best as we can to react to that stuff. To a large extent, I don't want to be the top shooter at a fucking class. I don't want to be the fastest, the most fastest, the fastest shooter in the class. Like that's not what I want. I want to be the most efficient fucking shooter out there. I want to be effective. I want to be efficient. But I also want to understand how my brain is going to work when all of this is happening, how my body is going to work when all of this is happening. But we've ditched that. We've ditched how science is going to make your body act and react, all for this allure and this amazing fucking looking shit that is stupid. It's fucking dumb. If you watch the rest of that video, you see how he performs a rope trick, and to the person that is their mark, it looks amazing, but for the rest of it, we see it. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm in on the fucking, I see the fucking trickery and everybody's just falling for it, right? Everybody's just like, oh, look at this shit. He's temple indexing and that shit looks incredible. And he's fucking, you don't understand. He wears a helmet, so he's got to be amazing. And that brings up the Milgram experiment. This idea that we believe those that look authoritative, so wear the uniform and wear the helmet, those people have become the authority on firearms training, which again is stupid. The Milgram experiment is a little bit different, but it's still this idea that we follow authority blindly, like we follow whatever the herd is doing blindly. And which is funny because the gun community often prides itself on not being that, right? Like the gun community is like, oh, you shouldn't fall, you fucking sheep. And yet when it comes to training, we've fallen for it. We've become a fucking parody of ourselves in all of this stuff, and it's sad to see. You just accept it as true because an individual looks a certain way, or they tell you that they do certain things, and in your brain, like, wow, he was in the military. Nothing against the military and shit like that, but like the military and civilian stuff, just two completely different worlds, right? We hear that a lot. It's like, well, I've got a law enforcement background, like that's fantastic. I'm sure it becomes useful at some point, but that doesn't equal Walmart shit. Like it's not an automatic thing. Um, but in your brain, he's got the fucking helmet, he's got the tack vest, and he's got the fucking little suspenders and a patch and all that shit. And all of a sudden, that's the guy. That's the fucking person, or these are the people because they wear a certain uniform. Again, this is all psychology. The brain has already um told you that you should accept this because they look the part, right? But in reality, we don't question it, and we must question it. There's another class that I took, and at the beginning of this class, and I won't mention the organization, but at the beginning of the class, one of the very first things that they had us do was fill out a questionnaire, and I immediately understood what the fuck I was getting myself into when I took this class, and it was basically to understand what type of learner you are. And in my brain, I'm like, you're fucking retarded. I just learned. Like there's no visual learner. There's none of that stuff. And this is the stuff that a lot of people have argued. In this video I had already watched, I've studied visual learners and auditory, and the VARK is what they call it, VARK. And it's interesting to find its history behind it, but instructors are teaching this. So I went to a class, and it was an instructor class, and they're teaching instructors based off of this because your students are this and all this shit. And so I'll play another clip about VARK and just watch.
Auditory reading writing kinesthetic, or VARK model, came about from Neil Fleming, a school inspector in New Zealand. Describing the origins of VARK, he says, "I was puzzled when I observed excellent teachers who did not reach some learners and poor teachers who did. I decided to try to solve this puzzle. There are, of course, many reasons for what I observed, but one topic that seemed to hold some magic, some explanatory power, was preferred modes of learning, modal preferences. And thus, VARK was born. There was no study that revealed students naturally cluster into 4 distinct groups, just some magic that might explain why some teachers can reach students while others can't."
So and that's firearms training in a nutshell. Is people believe that there's some magic if I hold a fucking timer, or if I have you do some drill, um, or some sort of objective standard, that all of a sudden we fixed everything. That's what VARK was, right? Like VARK in the education system is highly regarded, but yet if you type the shit into your interwebs, you will find that there's actually never been any evidence to back it up. Same thing with a lot of training that you see out there that is fucking stupid. There's no evidence to back it up. It's just one person saying this is correct, and everybody saying, yeah, fucking timer's fucking amazing. Doing this objective standard is fucking amazing. Negating the fact that we're all different. Our brains kind of function. We all have physical limitations, and there's a lot of subjective stuff that we can't teach to an objective standard. So that's the issue with the training community. Is it's taking a page from other communities and other shit, and people are just falling for it, and people are just accepting it as fact without zero fucking proof, without any evidence, without any reality to it. Um, and in starting Guns for Everyone National, that was kind of one of the missions. We've got the mission is to train instructors, but not just train instructors and hold competitions and do that, but make sure that it's done in a way where it actually makes sense. I don't want to send out instructors that are just following the fucking norm, just like everybody else. If you want to do that shit, like you got other instructor development programs, right, where you can develop and just be like everybody else, and everybody's happy with that, right? Like that's the issue is this world is composed of humans that just are yes men and yes women, and yep, yeah, that's the way it is. So because we don't want to be challenging and we don't want to be seen as difficult, and I get it, it's not comfortable for me to tell people that their shit is stupid, right? Like part of the nerves that come from making this video was last year I mentioned that the gun community is really not doing anything. Like we meet and we do stuff, but it's really not progressing. It's not doing what it's supposed to. And here we are a year later. I look around and we're kind of still doing the fucking same thing, but everybody was pissed off at me because oh, you said bad things about people, and it's not bad things about people. It's just an observation about shit that's happening. For that, I unfortunately don't have a solution, but for training, we kind of do have a solution. We have a solution for the training, and we have to get back to questioning what the fuck people are doing, what the fuck people are teaching, and understand that when you get into a fight, it's a lot of fucking neuroscience and psychology that's going on with this shit. It's not as easy as just grabbing a fucking gun and shooting somebody. It's not as easy as just fighting the fucker. It's not as easy as having a fucking timer and go beep and this is going to happen. There's this much more complex and nuanced than just that, um, to a large extent. So this idea of accepting shit that somebody has proposed just because that's just the way it is and zero fucking evidence behind it, that shit's fucking stupid. Um, we have to fucking get past that. We absolutely have to get past that. Um, we need or in training, right? So when I do a lot of live fire classes, when I do the live fire classes, I'm not worried about who the best shooter is. I'm more worried about preparing these students and preparing their mind and their body and giving them fundamental skills that they can use if shit hits the fan. Like I don't give a fuck if you get 100 out of 100 shots in the A zone or whatever zone. Did you understand the fundamental skills that you can progress and practice later and do that shit later? That's what I'm worried about. I don't give a fuck if you've got a sweet ass trigger on that bitch or if you can shoot sub fucking 1 second shots. Like I don't give a fuck about that. That shit's stupid. It's fucking dumb. It's retarded. It doesn't fucking make sense in any way, shape, or form. What I want is, did you learn the fundamental skills to survive in a good guy, bad guy situation, whether it be fucking top score or the fastest shot or whatever? And by the way, this is shit that you should practice, keep practicing, so you can get it into your automated system and it becomes part of your neuroscience, and it works well with what is already naturally ingrained into your system, not whether or not your red dot is super shiny and green and all that shit. So um we have to get back to that point where we're questioning a lot of this shit. I shit to even to a degree question a lot of shit that I say, right? Like this video should cause you to be like, hey, what the fuck are you talking about? And cause more discussion and be more open about it. I don't give a fuck about being questioned. If somebody questions me, I know that I have the shit to kind of back it up. We could talk to neuroscientists and we could talk to psychologists and we could talk about after shootings, right? I've talked to students who have had to shoot people in self-defense, what happens afterwards, and then what their mind was going through and what they thought was going on versus what really happened and shit like that. So we have to get to that point where we're questioning a lot of the stupid shit that's being taught out there, because a lot of this training is fucking stupid. It's just plain and simple stupid. I don't I encourage this in class all the time. Like you just got to question the shit, and if you have a question at the end of the class, we will spend an hour talking and discussing and uh, going through the evidence about what's going to happen versus what's not going to happen. Because again, the evidence is there, whether it be in neuroscience, whether it be in physics, whether it be In old videos that we can watch, like the science is fucking there. It's already been proven. Way too many people though just simply accept whatever the fucking dude in the tactidouche uniform is wearing. uh if the thicker the fucking carrier, the plates, the more likes and shit like that somebody gets. And I think we need to understand that that's just, we got to question that shit. I'm gonna wrap this up. I got one other video, but before I play this video, well, I'll just fucking play this video. Fuck it.
Reasons many people find learning styles so convincing is because they already believe it to be true. For example, they may already think that they're a visual learner, and then when a teacher shows them a diagram of, say, a bike pump, and suddenly the concept clicks, well, they interpret this as evidence for their visual learning style.
You already believe that learning styles is right. When you have an experience, the first thing you think is that in some way consistent with learning styles? And if it is, you don't think further.
When in reality, that diagram might just be a great diagram that would have helped anyone learn. When we already believe the world to be a certain way, then we interpret new experiences to fit with those beliefs, whether they actually do or not.
And that's what we have to kind of get back to is, if you take anything out of this video, is mainly just challenging yourself to quit being so fucking biased. Quit being so unwilling to search for the truth. So unwilling to challenge the norm, so unwilling to change what you already believe. I'm telling you, every time I have this conversation about training, whether it be with friends, whether it be with other instructors, whether it be with new students, a lot of that question for me is, well, like, this is the people, or why are people doing it this way, and you're saying a completely different way. Is there's 30 videos that shows it one way, but you are showing it and you're demonstrating a completely different way. Well, it's kind of like the VARC, right? Like visual and auditory and all that bullshit learning styles in general. Like, people have accepted it as truth. People have accepted that Humpty Dumpty's an egg, even though it's not a fucking egg. People have accepted that hair products really fix your hair, even though your hair is fucking dead. I just found that shit out. Your hair is fucking dead. Like, you can't repair a fucking dead thing. But people are so consumed and enamored with fake bullshit that makes this magic, right? Of it just makes you feel good. It does something magical in your fucking inner being, and it makes you feel alive, even though it's a lie. It's a lie. That's where training's at. Training has kind of generalized into the tactidouches with shot timers and drop leg rigs and all that shit, which is fun, by the way. Like, I do the competition stuff. We hold competitions and we have the shot timers, but that's in that context. It's not in the context of self-defense training. If I was teaching somebody how to compete, which I'm not the guy to do that, by the way, I'm in any way, shape, or form. But if you're going to compete, like, that shit's fucking stupid fun. Like, I'm a very competitive human being. Stupid fun, but it's not self-defense training. It's not evidence-based training. It's doing what everybody else does and accepting it as a norm because that's just what everybody said was the norm. But if you look at the history of it, you understand, just like VARC and just like everything else, that's bullshit. It's never really been tested to be true. It's never been put through the scientific studies. It's never been put through its fucking paces. Like, it just happens. What a lot of other people also do is they take if you learn military style training, right, then you'll show nothing but evidence for the military. Like, that's fine. That's context. That's in that context. There's no evidence that it's going to work at Walmart. There's no evidence that it's going to function the same or your brain's going to work the same, because there's a big difference between anticipating the need to shoot somebody and not knowing when the fuck you're going to have to shoot someone. Big fucking difference. If we have Ukraine, right, like right now, motherfuckers are like, oh, I'm going to shoot motherfuckers. Whether the Russians or the Ukrainians, they are anticipating to fight. And when I go to Walmart or when I go to dinner or whatever, I have no anticipation to shoot a motherfucker. In fact, I hope I don't have to shoot a motherfucker. So there's no knowledge beforehand, so I don't know how my body's going to react. I've had to draw my gun in self-defense twice. One of them I have a video of, yeah, of how it happened, and I still have the clip, and we could pull it up. I'm never gonna show it. It's there. I'll show it to a handful of people, and I'm telling you what happened the very first time that I had to draw my gun in self-defense was very different than the second time I had to draw my gun in self-defense. The second time, my brain was, me personally, from memory, have none. I cannot tell you what the fuck happened in that particular situation, if not for that video. It's because of that video that I had, that I can tell you what happened, because I seen it in the video, but it's only because of the video. So we disregard that. See, the timer doesn't explain why my brain went into this fucking place one time, but not into another place the other time. Like, the shot timer doesn't tell me that. El Presidente drill doesn't tell me why my body reacted a certain way at one time and a completely different way another time. What does help me with that, though, is evidence-based training. That shit helps me, is understanding what's going to happen in the most likely of scenarios, and then start automating my body to work well with what is natural, and expand on my automated responses. Um, my reaction shit, that's going to be the same, right? My body is going to do what the fuck it does. That is the reactionary shit. The way I respond, though, is the way I try and control my brain, and try and work with what my brain is doing as best as I possibly can. This is the shit that a lot of that stuff just doesn't teach, and we need to start questioning how people are teaching their fucking classes. We need to start questioning how this gun community is doing the shit that it's doing, whether it be in politics, whatever it is. If we want a healthier gun community, we have to start questioning, being okay with people questioning this shit. There's a handful of people that question this stuff, but they they get ridiculed, they get chastised by the community, because again, it's that asshole, that dick, or whatever the case may be. And that we have to, if we really want to be a better community for everybody to be involved in, and see this as a hobby, we have to provide. We're becoming a fucking parody of ourselves, and it's getting sad to see. We pride ourselves in questioning what people tell us to do, but if we look around, the majority promote and consume training that has been accepted as correct, not what has been proven to be correct. We have to get past that bias. So, anyways, before I start rambling on too much, I do genuinely believe that, and this is a lot of my friends, including, this is a lot of acquaintances. This is a lot of people I respect as humans, offer some really shitty training. They promote some really fucking shitty, stupid training. And I think it's okay for us to say that, and have this discussion, and make this a lot more open, and talk about this stuff, because if we're going to improve, if we're going to offer a better product for human beings out there, we have to be okay with the questioning of all this stuff. So either way, I hope this video was helpful, if anything, just to get you guys thinking about shit, and questioning shit, and hopefully you don't fall for the stupid shit. It looks amazing, it looks fucking magical, but one thing you have to remember about magic, it's fucking fake, it's not real. At any rate, don't forget to wash your ass, motherfuckers. Visit gunsforeveryone.com for classes. We've got plenty coming up. So anyways, train different. That's what the fuck you need to do, is train different.